All right, let's talk about a story that is just wild. It's this crazy collision of real estate, tech, and the law. And honestly, it's a huge cautionary tale for the age of AI.
So let me ask you this. Can you actually lose a lawsuit because you used fake arguments? I mean, it sounds like a no-brainer, right? Of course you can. But what if you didn't even know they were fake? What if a machine made them up for you?
Well, that's exactly what happened here. A federal magistrate judge basically said, yep, you sure can, and came down hard on a plaintiff. Not just for having a weak case, but for building that case on, well, legal fictions that were just spun up by artificial intelligence.
Okay, so our story kicks off in a U.S. District Court down in West Palm Beach, Florida. It starts out looking like a pretty standard antitrust lawsuit, against some of the biggest names in the real estate game. But trust me, it's about to take a very, very weird turn.
Now, at its heart, this is kind of a classic underdog story. You've got this small discount brokerage trying to take on the absolute titans of the real estate industry. So let's break down who's who in this fight.
So on one side, you have Jorge Zia. He runs a brokerage called snapflatfee.com. And on the other side, just a powerhouse lineup, the National Association of Realtors, multiple MLSs, and a bunch of local realtor associations. The whole case here is that Zia believes these big groups are basically teaming up to unfairly crush his business. And the main accusation he's thrown around is a word you hear a lot in real estate: steering. He's claiming that because his business model offers lower commissions to the agents who bring in buyers, those agents are actively pushing their clients away from his listings. And he says that's totally anti-competitive.
Okay, so his argument basically goes like this, in 4 steps. 1, he offers sellers a low, flat fee to list their house. 2, this means the buyer's agent sees a pretty small commission on the other end. 3, he argues this makes those agents essentially hide his properties from their clients. And 4, the end result is that his whole discount business model gets suffocated. He claims the big associations are just letting it happen. But this is where the whole case just completely goes off the rails. When Magistrate Judge William Matthewman started reviewing the paperwork, he didn't just find problems with the argument. He found problems with, reality itself. So the judge's first big shot across the bow was this. He called the complaint deficiently pled. Now, for those of us who aren't lawyers, that's bad. It's basically the legal way of saying the lawsuit is just poorly built and doesn't have the foundation it needs. But it gets so much worse.
Now this is a total breakdown. When a judge says, out loud, that they cannot trust your arguments, you are in a world of trouble. This isn't just about having a weak case anymore. This is about the fundamental integrity of what you're even presenting to the court.
And there it is, the knockout punch. The whole reason the judge couldn't trust the arguments, because they were based, in part, on invented law. The legal cases that were cited in the lawsuit, they just didn't exist. They were complete fakes, made up by an AI.
And that brings us to the tech at the center of this mess, the AI hallucination. This is what happens when a language model, like ChatGPT, tries so hard to be helpful that it just starts making stuff up. It spits out text that looks totally real, sounds convincing, it's formatted perfectly, but it's pure fiction. In this case, it literally invented entire legal precedents out of thin air.
So, when your case is built on a foundation of, nothing, what happens next? Unsurprisingly, the judge had a very clear recommendation for how to move forward. The judge recommended a dismissal without prejudice. And this distinction is super important. See, a dismissal with prejudice would have been game over, lawsuit dead forever. But without prejudice, that means Zia gets a second chance. He can go back, fix the complaint, with real legal cases this time, and file it all over again.
So why the leniency? Well, the judge pointed out that the plaintiff is representing himself. He's acting as his own lawyer. So the judge basically figured it's possible he could learn from this massive mistake. He's essentially getting a do-over, a mulligan, because he's not a professional lawyer.
And let's be clear, this dismissal is a huge deal. If the judge's recommendation is accepted, all of these major players, we're talking the NAR and a whole bunch of really powerful Florida-based MLSs and associations, they all get dropped from the lawsuit, at least for now.
So what's the bigger picture here? What can we all learn from this? Well, this one single case out of Florida has kind of blown up into this perfect, modern cautionary tale about the dangers of blindly trusting new tech, especially in professions where the stakes are incredibly high.
And the judge left zero room for doubt. He might have given Zia a second chance this time, but the warning was crystal clear. The real takeaway here is about personal responsibility. If this conduct, using fake AI-generated cases, happens again,
The consequences are going to be a whole lot worse than just having to refile some paperwork.
Ultimately, this whole mess just shines a huge spotlight on a problem we're all going to be dealing with. It shows the tension between how convenient these new tools are and how accountable we have to be when we use them. And that leaves us with this massive question for the future. As AI weaves its way into pretty much every single job, who's on the hook when it gets things wrong? Is it the person who used it, the company that made it? Figuring that out is one of the biggest challenges we're facing in this new AI-powered world.